Admiral James Harrison stood at the observation deck of Luna Base, his weathered face reflecting off the reinforced glass as he stared at the endless expanse of stars. The silence in the room was deafening. Fitting, given what they'd just discovered. 3 weeks had passed since humanity lost contact with New Eden, their furthest colony. Before that, it was Horizon Prime, then Atlas Station. All falling silent without warning, without distress signals, without a trace. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Maya Patel's voice cut through his thoughts. The long-range scans from the Artemis probe have arrived. Harrison turned, noting the unusual pallor of his usually composed intelligence officer. "Show me." The holographic display sprang to life, revealing something that defied conventional physics. Massive crystalline vessels, nearly transparent against the backdrop of space, moved with an otherworldly grace. Their surfaces rippled like water, despite being solid structures. These ships, if they could be called that, weren't using any known form of propulsion. "The Nexari," Maya explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's what the few surviving transmissions from Horizon Prime called them. They don't communicate through radio waves or light signals. They use sound." Harrison's brow furrowed. "Sound. In space. Not conventional sound, sir. They've somehow weaponized quantum resonance. Their ships create frequencies that can shatter molecular bonds at a fundamental level. When they attack..." She paused, swallowing hard. "There's no explosion, no debris. Things just come apart. Silently." Security footage from Horizon Prime played on the screen. Buildings, vehicles, and infrastructure didn't explode or burn. They simply dissolved into their component atoms, like sugar and water. The colonists never had a chance to scream. "How many colonies have we lost?" Harrison asked, though he already knew the answer. 7 in the outer rim. The Nexari are methodical. They don't rush. They don't negotiate. They just advance. Our conventional weapons pass right through their ships. It's like fighting ghosts." Harrison's jaw tightened. Humanity had faced existential threats before. The climate wars, the asteroid crisis of 2157, the Mars Rebellion. But this was different. The enemy wasn't just attacking their bodies or their planets. They were attacking the very bonds that held matter together. "What about the Galileo Initiative?" Harrison asked, referring to Earth's most advanced research division. Maya's expression shifted slightly. "Dr. Elena Rodriguez has a theory. The Nexari's power comes from their ability to manipulate quantum resonance. She believes we might be able to turn that against them. But it would require..." "Require what?" "A complete redesign of how we build starships. We'd need to construct a vessel that could not only withstand the Nexari's quantum attacks, but generate counter-frequencies. It's never been done before. Most of our scientists say it's impossible." Harrison turned back to the window, watching Earth rotate slowly below. Impossible. They'd said the same thing about faster-than-light travel, about terraforming, about human consciousness transfer. Yet humanity had achieved all of that and more. "Get me a secure line to the Security Council," he ordered. "And find Dr. Rodriguez. If we're going to survive this, we need to stop thinking like warriors and start thinking like composers. We're not just building a warship, we're creating an instrument." Maya nodded, her fingers flying over her datapad. As she worked, Harrison studied the footage of the crystalline ships again. Their movement was almost beautiful, like a deadly dance through the cosmos. But beneath that beauty lay an existential threat to everything humanity had built. "Sir," Maya said, her voice stronger now. "There's something else. The quantum signatures we've detected. They're getting stronger. The Nexari aren't just attacking random colonies anymore. They're moving in a pattern. And if our calculations are correct, they're heading for Earth," Harrison finished. He'd suspected as much. The attacks weren't random. They were systematic. Each colony taken increased the resonance of their weapons. Earth, with its billions of inhabitants and complex infrastructure, would be the perfect target for their sonic apocalypse. How long? At their current pace, 8 months, maybe less. Harrison straightened his uniform. 8 months to design, build, and deploy a weapon that defied the laws of physics as they understood them. 8 months to save not just humanity, but every species that might fall to the Nexary's silent symphony of destruction. "Then we have work to do," he said, his voice carrying the weight of command. "Send out the call. I want every physicist, engineer, and composer we can find. If we're going to fight an enemy that uses sound as a weapon, then we're going to need to create the greatest instrument of war humanity has ever conceived." As Maya hurried to comply with his orders, Harrison remained at the window, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, crystalline ships were moving through the darkness, their deadly resonance building toward a crescendo that could end human civilization. But if there was one thing humanity had proven time and again, it was their ability to adapt, to survive, to turn their enemies' greatest strengths against them. The Nexari might have mastered the music of destruction, but humanity would teach them a new song, one of defiance, resilience, and survival. The silent war had begun. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before the prototype that would either save humanity or mark its greatest failure. The U.S. Symphony took up most of the massive underground hangar beneath the Atacama Desert, its hull unlike anything ever constructed. The ship's surface rippled with patterns of crystalline matrices, each carefully tuned to resonate at specific frequencies. "It's beautiful," said Commander Sarah Chen, the woman chosen to captain this unprecedented vessel. She ran her hand along one of the exposed sections of the hull, feeling the subtle vibrations beneath her fingers. "Hard to believe we built this in 6 months." Elena smiled grimly. "Built it, yes, but we still don't know if it works." The two women couldn't have been more different. Elena with her disheveled lab coat and perpetually nervous energy, Sarah with her precise military bearing and calculated movements. Yet they shared the same haunted look in their eyes. They'd both seen the footage from the outer colonies, watched as entire worlds fell silent. "The quantum resonance chamber is stable," Elena continued, leading Sarah through the ship's unconventional interior. "We've essentially created an artificial crystal matrix that can match and potentially counter the Nexary's frequencies. But the power requirements are astronomical." They entered the heart of the ship, the harmonic core. Unlike traditional reactor rooms with their pulsing plasma containment fields, this chamber was arranged like a massive musical instrument. Crystalline structures spiraled from floor to ceiling, each precisely calibrated to channel and amplify quantum frequencies. "This is where you'll control the ship's offensive capabilities," Elena explained. "We've mapped different resonance patterns to these control interfaces. Think of it like playing an instrument, but instead of music, you're generating quantum frequencies that can disrupt the Nexary's molecular structure." Sarah studied the controls, noting how they resembled both a weapons console and a musical synthesizer. "You're telling me we're going to fight an alien invasion with what amounts to a giant space violin?" "More like a quantum orchestra," Elena corrected. "And you'll need these." She handed Sarah what looked like standard neural implants, but with significant modifications. "These will link you and your bridge crew directly to the harmonic core. You'll be able to feel the frequencies, adjust them instinctively. It's the only way to react quickly enough to counter the Nexary's attacks." Sarah weighed the implants in her hand. "How many test pilots have successfully used these?" Elena's silence was answer enough. "The neural interface is untested." Sarah's military training bristled at the thought. "Everything about this ship is untested, Commander," Elena said softly. "We're not just pushing the envelope here. We're rewriting the laws of physics. The Nexari have given us no choice." Their conversation was interrupted by the heavy footfalls of Admiral Harrison entering the chamber. His presence seemed to make the crystalline structures vibrate slightly more intensely. "Timetables moved up," he announced without preamble. "The Nexari have taken Europa Station. They're in our solar system." Sarah straightened. "Sir, the Symphony isn't ready for deployment. We haven't even completed basic system tests. There are no more tests. Harrison cut her off. No more simulations. No more preparations. We launch in 48 hours. Elena stepped forward. Admiral, the harmonics aren't fully calibrated. The neural interfaces could kill the crew if they're not properly tuned. Doctor, Harrison's voice was quiet, but carried the weight of billions of lives. Every minute we wait, another outpost goes silent. Another colony disappears. We're out of time. Sarah looked between the scientist and the admiral, then down at the neural implants in her hand. Who's my crew? Harrison nodded approvingly. The best we could find. Your XO is Lieutenant Commander Marcus Wong, degree in quantum mechanics before joining the fleet. Your helmsman is Lieutenant Aisha Patel. She's a concert pianist as well as a pilot. The rest of the bridge crew are all similarly unique. You'll need people who understand both the science and the art of what we're attempting here. Elena began pulling up technical specifications on nearby screens. I'll need every minute of those 48 hours to calibrate the neural interfaces to each crew member. And Commander, she hesitated. There's something else you should know about the harmonic core. Sarah raised an eyebrow. The frequencies it generates, they don't just affect the Nexari ships. They affect everything, including us, including the symphony itself. Push too hard, generate the wrong resonance, and you could tear your own ship apart at the molecular level. So we're flying a weapon that could destroy us as easily as the enemy, Sarah summarized. Perfect. Harrison's expression remained grave. One more thing. The Security Council is implementing the Orpheus Protocol. If the symphony fails, if the Nexari breach our inner system defenses, Earth will deploy quantum resonance bombs in our own atmosphere. Better to destroy ourselves than let them take us apart molecule by molecule. The weight of that statement hung in the air like a physical presence. Humanity's last hope rested on an untested ship, an untrained crew, and a weapons system that defied conventional physics. Sarah squared her shoulders. Well then, we better not fail. Dr. Rodriguez, let's get those neural interfaces calibrated. Admiral, I'll need everything we have on Nexari ship movements and attack patterns. If we're going to play this symphony, we need to know our audience. As they dispersed to their tasks, Sarah remained for a moment in the harmonic core, listening to the subtle hum of the crystalline structures. Somewhere out there, the Nexari were advancing, their own deadly frequencies building toward Earth's destruction. But humans had one advantage the crystalline aliens might not expect, an intimate understanding of harmony and discord, of rhythm and resonance. Music wasn't just art, it was mathematics, physics, and warfare combined. The silent war was about to get loud. The U.S. Symphony sliced through space like a ghost, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in ways that made it nearly invisible. On the bridge, Commander Sarah Chen felt the ship's harmonics through her neural interface, a constant, subtle vibration that had become as familiar as her own heartbeat over the past week. Contact, Lieutenant Aisha Patel announced from the helm, her fingers dancing over the quantum-sensitive controls. 3 Nexari vessels approaching Europa's orbit. They're singing. Through their neural interfaces, the bridge crew could feel it, an alien frequency that made their teeth ache and their bones hum. The Nexari ships moved with their characteristic fluid grace, their crystalline structures pulsing with deadly resonance. Analysis, Sarah commanded, her voice steadied despite the discomfort. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Wong studied his readings, his expression tense. The frequencies they're generating, they're like nothing in our database. It's not just one harmonic, it's layers upon layers. If those hit us directly. They won't, Sarah interrupted. Lieutenant Patel, bring us in behind Europa. We'll use the moon's mass to dampen their initial frequencies. Ready the harmonic core. The symphony glided into position, its own crystalline structure beginning to vibrate in response to the approaching threat. Through the neural interface, Sarah could feel her crew's anxiety, their determination, their focus, all of it feeding into the ship's quantum matrix. "Remember your training," she said, both to her crew and herself. "Think of it like a conversation. They're speaking in quantum harmonics. We need to answer in kind." The first Nexari ship emerged from behind Europa's curve, its transparent form distorting the space around it. The alien vessel was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Symphony, and its surface rippled with patterns that hurt the human eye to observe. "They've detected us," Marcus reported. "Their resonance is shifting. They're preparing to attack." Sarah closed her eyes, focusing on the harmonic core's energy flowing through her neural interface. "Lieutenant Patel, on my mark. Execute pattern Alpha 7. Mr. Wong, prepare to match their base frequency, but phase shifted by exactly 1/4 rotation." The Nexari ship unleashed its first attack, a wave of quantum resonance that would have torn a normal vessel apart at the molecular level. But the Symphony wasn't a normal vessel. Now, the Symphony's crystalline hull came alive, generating its own frequency that met the Nexari attack head-on. Through their neural interfaces, the crew could feel the two forces colliding, like 2 massive waves meeting in an ocean of quantum energy. "It's working." Elena's voice came through from engineering. "The hull is holding. The counter-resonance is stable." But the Nexari weren't finished. The other 2 ships moved to flank them, each generating its own unique frequency. The combined harmonics created a devastating pattern that threatened to overwhelm the Symphony's defenses. Sarah gritted her teeth, feeling the strain through her neural interface. "They're trying to create a resonance cascade." "Aisha, begin evasive pattern delta." "Marcus, prepare to shift our frequency to." She stopped mid-sentence as something extraordinary happened. The Symphony's harmonic core, responding to the neural inputs of its crew, began generating a completely new frequency, one that none of them had programmed. It was as if the ship itself was learning, adapting, creating its own quantum language. "Dr. Rodriguez," Sarah called out, "are you seeing this?" "Impossible," Elena breathed. "The crystalline matrix. It's evolving. The neural interfaces aren't just letting us control the ship, they're letting the ship learn from us." The new frequency emanating from the Symphony cut through the Nexari attack pattern like a knife through silk. Their deadly harmonics dissipated, leaving their ships momentarily vulnerable. "Whatever you just did," Marcus said, "it hurt them. Their resonance patterns are destabilizing." Sarah leaned forward in her command chair, feeling the power thrumming through the ship. "All crews, prepare for offensive maneuvers. Let's show these aliens what human music can really do." The Symphony surged forward, its evolved harmonics now a weapon rather than just a shield. The Nexari ships tried to adjust, to find new frequencies that could penetrate their defenses, but the human vessel moved too quickly, its quantum resonance shifting and adapting faster than they could counter. "Target the lead ship's central matrix," Sarah ordered. "Maximum amplitude, frequency pattern gamma 9. The Symphony's attack struck the Nexari vessel with devastating precision. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a crystal glass shattering at just the right pitch, the alien ship began to break apart, not violently, but with an almost beautiful symmetry, its molecular bonds dissolving into space. The remaining Nexari ships retreated, their movements no longer fluid and graceful, but erratic, almost fearful. They disappeared into FTL, leaving behind only the scattered atoms of their destroyed companion. As the adrenaline faded, Sarah realized she could taste blood. Her neural interface had pushed dangerously close to its limits. Looking around the bridge, she saw similar signs of strain on her crew's faces. But there was something else too. Triumph. "Send word to command," she ordered, her voice hoarse but proud. First contact successful. The Symphony not only survived, it evolved. And more importantly, the Nexari can bleed. The message was sent, carrying with it humanity's first victory against an enemy that had seemed invincible. But as Sarah studied the readings from their encounter, she realized this was just the beginning. The symphony had revealed capabilities beyond their wildest expectations, but it had also shown them how much they still had to learn about the true nature of their enemy and their own creation. The silent war had found its voice, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 months after their first victory, the symphony drifted silently through the debris field of what had once been an Nexeri staging ground. But Commander Sarah Chen's attention wasn't on the crystalline fragments scattered across space. It was fixed on the alien vessel approaching them with deliberate caution. Unlike the transparent grace of Nexeri ships, this craft was organic in nature, its hull covered in what appeared to be sound-absorbing tissue. Through the symphony's advanced sensors, they could detect complex harmonic patterns emanating from the vessel, not as weapons, but as communication. They're called the Melodians, Marcus explained, interpreting the data streaming through his console. According to their initial transmission, they've been fighting the Nexeri for decades. They evolved on a world of constant sonic storms. Their entire civilization is built around manipulating sound waves. Sarah watched as the alien ship matched their velocity. "Are you telling me we've accidentally stumbled upon the perfect allies?" "More like they've been looking for us," Marcus replied. "That victory at Europa, the quantum frequencies we generated, they detected it from 3 sectors away. They've never seen anything like the symphony." The Melodian ship extended what appeared to be a tendril of living tissue toward them, their version of a docking corridor. Through her neural interface, Sarah could feel the subtle vibrations of their attempt at communication, like music played just below the threshold of hearing. "Dr. Rodriguez," Sarah called to engineering, "can we adapt our quantum matrix to interface with their bioacoustic technology?" "Already working on it." Elena's excited voice came back. "Their approach to sonic manipulation is fascinating, completely biological rather than our crystalline technology. If we can combine both methods." "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Sarah cautioned, though she shared the scientist's enthusiasm. "Lieutenant Patel, maintain our position. Mr. Wong, you're with me. Let's go meet our new friends." The Melodian delegation that greeted them in the symphony's docking bay was unlike anything they'd expected. The aliens were tall, willowy creatures with translucent skin that rippled with patterns of bioluminescence. What they lacked in traditional mouths, they made up for with specialized organs that generated and received complex sound waves. Communication was initially challenging, but the symphony's quantum matrix, combined with the Melodians' bioacoustic abilities, soon created a workable interface. The story they shared was both terrifying and inspiring. The Melodians had once been part of a thriving coalition of species, each with their own unique relationship to sound and vibration. The Nexeri arrived a century ago, their crystalline ships bringing silent death to world after world. But unlike many species who fell quickly to the invaders, the Melodians' natural affinity for sound allowed them to resist. Not victory, the Melodian leader, whose name translated roughly to first song, explained through their improvised communication system. Survival only. Until now. Until symphony. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as first song shared their data. The Nexeri weren't simply conquerors. They were collectors. Each world they destroyed added to their understanding of quantum resonance. Each species they eliminated made their deadly harmonics more complex, more impossible to counter. "They're building towards something," Marcus muttered, studying the Melodian data. "These attack patterns, the way they've been systematically targeting worlds with different relationships to sound and vibration." A final symphony, first song confirmed. One frequency to end all frequencies. When achieved, no matter will resist. Galaxy will go silent. But the symphony had changed the equation. Its ability to adapt, to learn, to generate new frequencies had shown the first crack in the Nexeri's supposed invincibility. And now, with the Melodians' biological sound manipulation, "We need to call in the fleet," Sarah decided. "Not just symphony. We need every ship we can refit with quantum resonance technology, combined with Melodian bioacoustics." First song's skin pulsed with patterns of hope and determination. Yes, symphony showed way. Now together, We compose new song, song of resistance, song of victory. Over the next weeks, the symphony became a floating laboratory. Melodian bioengineers worked alongside human scientists, combining their understanding of sonic manipulation with quantum resonance technology. Other species, hearing of the alliance, began to emerge from hiding. The crystalline harmonites, the gaseous whisper collective, each bringing their own unique perspective on sound and vibration. The symphony's crew learned to interpret and generate frequencies they never thought possible. Aisha's helm controls evolved to incorporate Melodian biofeedback systems. Marcus's tactical station now displayed sound patterns in ways that made sense to both human and alien minds. Sarah watched it all from the bridge, feeling the ship's expanded capabilities through her neural interface. The symphony wasn't just a human vessel anymore. It had become something more, a symphony of species united against the silence. But even as their alliance grew stronger, the Nexeri threat loomed larger. Their ships were gathering in unprecedented numbers, their combined frequencies reaching levels that could shatter planets. The race was on. Would the Alliance's combined knowledge be enough to stop the Nexeri's final symphony? As if in answer to her thoughts, Olena's voice came through the comm, excitement barely contained. "Commander, you need to see this. We've found something in the combined harmonics, a pattern we never could have discovered alone. I think we found their weakness." The silent war was about to reach its crescendo. The combined fleet of human and alien vessels hung in the dark space between Mars and Jupiter, a strange harmony of crystalline, organic, and hybrid ships all resonating with shared purpose. At its heart, the U.S. Symphony led the formation, its evolved form now incorporating elements of multiple species technologies. Commander Sarah Chen stood on her bridge, feeling the combined frequencies of the fleet through her enhanced neural interface. The Melodian's bioacoustic improvements had made the connection deeper, more intuitive. She could sense every ship, every crew, all of them waiting for the coming storm. "Nexeri fleet detected," Aisha announced, her fingers dancing across controls that now pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. "Massive formation. I'm counting. Over 300 ships." Through the main viewport, they watched as space itself seemed to ripple. The Nexeri armada emerged from FTL travel like a crystalline tsunami, their ships arranged in a pattern that Sarah recognized from her musical training, a perfect harmonic series. "They're preparing for the final symphony," Marcus reported, his station displaying overlapping waves of quantum frequencies. "Energy readings are off the scale. If those frequencies combine—" "They won't," Sarah stated firmly. "Fleet-wide broadcast, all languages." She took a deep breath, feeling the attention of thousands of beings, human and alien alike, focus on her words. "This is Commander Chen. You all know why we're here." The Nexeri believe they've perfected the ultimate weapon, a resonance that can tear apart the very fabric of space-time. They see the galaxy as nothing but notes in their deadly symphony. But they made one critical mistake. She paused, letting the fleet feel the building harmonics through their shared network. They forgot that the most powerful music isn't created by a single instrument, but by many playing together. Every species here brings its own unique voice to our symphony. And today, we show them the true power of harmony. The Nexeri fleet began their attack, their combined frequencies building toward a devastating crescendo. Space itself seemed to shudder as their quantum resonance reached levels never before recorded. "All ships, execute pattern Omega," Sarah commanded. "Remember your training. We are the counter-melody. We are the harmony they never expected." The Alliance fleet moved as one, each ship contributing its unique frequency to create something unprecedented. A quantum harmony that drew from the musical and scientific knowledge of a dozen species. The symphony led the charge, its crystalline hull now augmented with Melodian tissue and harmonic resonators. Through her neural interface, Sarah could feel the massive forces colliding in space. The Nexeri's deadly symphony met their harmonic defense, and for a moment, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Then Alina's voice cut through from engineering. Now, the frequency pattern is aligned. All ships execute the final movement. The symphony's harmonic core pulsed with energy as it initiated the sequence they'd discovered by combining their allies' knowledge. It wasn't just a counter-frequency, it was a revelation of the Nexari's fundamental flaw. Their ships, Marcus breathed, watching his displays in amazement. The crystalline structure. It's not just their technology, it's their evolution. They became so focused on creating the perfect resonance that they made themselves vulnerable to it. The Alliance fleet's combined harmony struck the Nexari formation like a thunderclap in the void. Their perfect crystalline ships began to vibrate at their own resonant frequency, not shattering, but transforming. The beings inside, creatures of living crystal themselves, found their carefully constructed symphony turned back upon them. "They're trying to retreat," Aisha reported. "Their formation is breaking down." But it was too late. The quantum cascade had begun. Ship after ship, the Nexari fleet began to change, their transparent forms becoming opaque, their deadly resonance patterns dissolving into chaos. Through the communication channels came a sound none had ever heard before. The Nexari were screaming, not in pain, but in revelation. Their crystalline forms, forced to resonate with the Alliance's harmony, were experiencing something they had never known. The beauty of imperfection. "Hold the pattern," Sarah commanded, even as warnings flashed across her neural interface. "Push through." The symphony's hybrid systems strained under the load, but held. Around them, the Alliance fleet maintained their positions, each ship contributing to the massive harmonic wave that was not destroying the Nexari, but changing them. When it was over, the transformed Nexari ships hung motionless in space. Their once transparent hulls now shimmered with countless colors, like opals catching starlight. The beings inside were no longer creatures of pure crystal, but something new, something that could finally hear the full spectrum of the galaxy's song. First Song's voice came through the comm, filled with wonder. "They understand now. Perfect harmony was never the goal. It is the blending of different songs that creates true beauty." Sarah looked out at the transformed fleet, feeling the new frequencies emanating from the changed Nexari ships. Where there had been only cold, deadly precision, now there was variation, complexity, life. "Send word to Earth," she ordered, a smile playing at her lips. "The silent war is over, and the galaxy is about to get much more interesting." In the years that followed, the Alliance grew to include the transformed Nexari. Their unique understanding of quantum resonance now turned toward creation rather than destruction. The symphony remained a symbol of what was possible when different species combined their knowledge and abilities. And in the vast expanse of space, countless new songs waited to be discovered, each adding its voice to the eternal symphony of the stars.